Hello, it's Tom here again, uh, with another raw feed. This I am not planning on making this a weekly thing. It's just that certain things have come up one after another that have caused me to do these, and I finally got around to seeing the entirety of the latest season of Doctor Who, or the latest series, depending on which side of the pond you live on. And I just watched the last episode, which was The Name of the Doctor. And I know you might say, well, that aired months ago. Why did it take you this long to see it? And well, I don't have BBC America, and um, it just wasn't something I was actively pursuing. I wasn't desperate to see it, and that should give you some idea of how I feel about Moffat's run on Doctor Who these past couple years. I'm just not that excited. It can wait. I have better things to do with my time than pursue um, this series. So I finally sat down and watched it, and wow, what a piece of shit. And pardon me, I try not to swear in these things too much, because if you swear a lot, it loses the impact. And so I try to watch my language. But God, what a lousy episode. I mentioned this on Facebook, and I gave it a 6 out of 10 on Facebook. And the more I think about it, the worse it gets. And eh, where to begin? Well, let's see. River Song is all throughout it, and I despise River Song and just everything about her. There's just basically every single thing that River Song could possibly do to annoy me, she does, and I hate it. I hate that character so much, and I don't think I'll ever be able to watch Alex Kingston in anything ever again without thinking about this role she's played. That's how annoyed I am with this character. And the plot of the series is basically the Supreme Intelligence finds the Doctor's tomb. He forces the Doctor to allow him access to the tomb. He enters the Doctor's body, which is basically and I thought this was cool. Okay, I will give this. I will give them a point for this. The Doctor's corpse, if you will, is the spiral, basically, of his timeline. The what do we call it? The scar tissue of time, what have you? Because every time he travels through time, there are consequences, and so that you're seeing this column of light, which is the Doctor's timeline. I thought that was cool. And the Supreme Intelligence enters this. Timeline, this column of light, and basically his plan is to go back in time and destroy the Doctor in every single incarnation. Every success he will turn into a failure. And my biggest problem with that, first of all, is why is the Supreme Intelligence doing this? Yes, the Doctor is his enemy. Yes, the Doctor has thwarted him multiple times. But he's killing himself. It really feels like, I mean, he's cutting off his nose to spite his face. And maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed the part where he explained that uh, he's he has a valid reason for doing this. That maybe in some way, shape, or form he's already a dead man. But if I recall, the Supreme Intelligence was in the first episode of the second half of this season. So the Supreme Intelligence is around the 21st century. I just don't fail to see the motivation of the character. So that was a big X against it. And then the third thing that annoyed me was Oswald's character, Claire Oswald, I believe her character's name is in this, but originally she was introduced as Oswin, is the Impossible Girl, is that she enters the column of light, and she is going to go back in time, and she is going to warn every incarnation of the Doctor of what's happening. And what really got to me was the scene where she is standing right outside the TARDIS. She talks to the first incarnation of the Doctor, and she tells the first Doctor, "No, you want this TARDIS." And it really felt like Moffat was just rewriting history, because he was saying, "Oh, look, not only have I created the greatest Doctor of all time, a guy who can blow up fleets of ships, a character who the Daleks are afraid to shoot. Not only is he the greatest, most wonderfulest Doctor ever, I have created the greatest companion ever. This is the companion that was every Doctor's companion in some way." And I just found that insulting. I found that just infuriating. And so she saves the day. She saves the Matt Smith doctor, and the Matt Smith doctor realizes, well, I've got to go in and rescue her, and he does. So here it is. You have a character who's making this noble sacrifice. She is told, Oswin is told, you go in there and you're going to be torn into a million pieces. You are going to lose your identity. You're going to lose your sense of self. You will be effectively be destroyed as a person. And she does it anyway because she realizes that if she doesn't do it, the universe is essentially doomed. The Doctor has saved so many people, has been so critical in the saving of the fabric of the universe that if she does not do this, reality is screwed. And I thought, well, this would have been a really great way to write the character out. Yes, she was on there very briefly, but it would have been a neat way to suggest that, yes, here it is. The only way to save the day is to have this character. And they go, oh, no, no. Doctor goes back and rescues her. Hey, problem solved. And it's the classic problem with Moffat's entire run on Doctor Who. No one dies. Um, and God, it's just lousy writing. It's just terrible in every way, shape, and form. And you get people who just apologize for the guy, who basically just say, well, you don't understand him, and you don't get it. And it's like, well, no, I do get it. I get it. Moffat is a lousy producer. I think when it comes to writing individual episodes, when he is under supervision, when you have a showrunner like Russell T Davies monitoring him, he can produce good stuff. But when he himself is both the executive producer and a screenwriter, there's no one there to tell him, no, Mr. Moffat, that's a bad idea. No, that's not good. No, that is not good drama. Okay, or no, Mr. Moffat, that's really not that funny. And here's a classic example of what that is like with another television series. Star Trek. If you watch Star Trek Voyager and Star Trek Enterprise, Rick Berman and Brianna Braga were the show's producers. And they were also writers, more often than not. And as a result, they produced some of the worst scripts for Star Trek. A good example, Threshold. I mean, if you watch SF Debris just finished counting down his 6 worst examples of Star Trek in the history of all of Trek. Not surprisingly, Threshold was number 2, A Night in Sick Bay was number 1. And who wrote those? Berman and Braga, or Berman or Braga. And I really feel that this is what's happening with Moffat. Moffat is this guy who there's no control. There are no breakers on him. And another good example of this is George Lucas. Back when George Lucas had done Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, I believe, and correct if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, I should have looked this up before, but this is a raw feed, so this is just off the top of my head. Lucas had a co-producer. And this was the guy who basically, I believe, was Irving Kershner, and I could be wrong. Like I said, I believe that's who it was. It could have been the director on The Empire Strikes Back. But he quit after Empire Strikes Back because he felt that merchandising had taken over the artistic integrity. That basically they were making characters and vehicles and things just to sell toys, just so Kenner could produce a toy or an action figure based on these characters. And, he could be right. Like, there was that great scene in, The Empire Strikes Back where you have the bounty hunters, and then you get, they're all in the column there. And they all have a cameo. But I'll tell you, I own each and every one of those. My dad bought me, or my parents bought me each of those for Christmas when I was a kid. And what happened was after he quit, we got Ewoks, we got Return of the Jedi, and then we got episodes 1, 2, and 3 because there was no one there to tell George Lucas, George, you're producing crap. And this is what's happening with Moffat. There is no one there to tell Moffat, this is a bad idea. Moffat, rein it in, and as a result, you really get a substandard product. And so I just feel this season of Doctor Who was just terrible. It just got worse and worse. And yes, there were a few highlights. For example, I love the Crimson Horror. I thought the Crimson Horror was a lot of fun. Nightmare in Silver, it was all right. Neil Gaiman wrote it. It really, I don't know. It wasn't as much fun as Gaiman's other outing, which was The Doctor's Wife. Oh, and that was the other thing that annoyed me so much about Oswin. Where Oswin tells the first Doctor that you want this TARDIS. Like, well, wait a minute, doesn't that contradict what Neil Gaiman said in The Doctor's Wife, where the TARDIS was able to speak to the Matt Smith Doctor and said, I chose you If I recall, it was something along those lines. It was kind of touching, the idea that the TARDIS chose him. And it's like, oh, that's really kind of. And now it's like, no, 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 no. It was Oswin. Oswin basically said, no, no, you want this one, Doctor. And it goes back to Moffat. He's rewriting Who history so his Who could be the greatest. I also think that Moffat is short-sighted because this storyline could have run for an entire season. It had the potential to be something really fascinating where the Doctor is dealing with an enemy who has sought out to destroy him by destroying his timeline. And uh, it would have been exciting to actually maybe see the Matt Smith Doctor having to go back in time and actually having to team up or deal with his previous incarnations. Where if he's not dealing with teaming up with a previous incarnation, maybe played by a modern actor, and I don't think people would be insulted by that. I don't think people would freak too much if you had another actor playing the Tom Baker the Fourth Doctor. I certainly wouldn't if he was properly cast. They had the movie, which was about the creation of Doctor Who, and you had a guy playing William Hartnell. It's like, wow, man, he looks a lot like William Hartnell. It would have been cool if you gotten someone like him to play. Yeah, we want you to play the first Doctor. And it would have been really cool to see the Doctor having to deal with the consequences of someone actively out to kill him, to destroy his timeline. Having the Doctor dealing with his old companions, and that would have been cool. What happened to Zoe and Jamie? They lost their memories. Would have been interesting saying, oh, they might be ideal in helping me with this because, they don't have memories of me. I don't know. It just really, there was a ton of potential here to create this season-long storyline. And this season's just been really lackluster. The first half, we had Amy and Rory's ignoble exit. And then we had this garbage. I'm just, I just don't get the love for Moffat that people have for him, for his Doctor. I don't blame Matt Smith at all. Matt Smith has been really good as the Doctor. I think that when it comes to comedy, when it comes to pathos, he has it all. He does a really good job. When it comes to making speeches, he does a great job. When it comes to interacting with the companions, fantastic. But the environment that his Doctor lives in is just terrible. I hate it. I really just am not impressed at all. I'm going to give the Capaldi era a try. I'm not swearing off Doctor Who. It's not like I spent money on it. It's just time. It does feel like time that has been wasted. But I'm going to give Capaldi a try because I've been watching The Thick of It, and I think Capaldi is an outstanding actor, and I'm very excited to see what Capaldi does with it. But the problem is Moffat's still there. The problem is still there, and from all indications, I don't think Moffat really gets what's wrong with what he does because it's successful. The ratings. My understanding, the ratings are good. The ratings are up, so it's a winning formula. So as a result, he has no reason to change because there's no real outrage, and it's frustrating. So anyway, I just wanted to vent, and I hope you feel you did not waste 14 minutes of your time watching me complain and rant about this, and I hope that I said something that at least sounded intelligent. So anyway, I am still working on my Star Trek the Animated Series review. It's moving along pretty well. It should be out by the end of this month. That's wood, by the way. So thanks a lot, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.